What's up, people? So I want to talk about how you can make a pretty boring looking shot look more interesting. And there is a lot of ways to do it, but I'll just get straight into it because it is pretty interesting. So I just made this video on my YouTube channel called A Boring Morning But Cinematic. And the title basically sums it up. I tried to have these really boring shots look more interesting by adding a spin to it, making it look different, and making it stand out, and making it cinematic, if you will. I tested this out with a couple of shots, and I think it worked out pretty well. Now, I must say I'm not a professional in any way, shape, or form. I'm just trying my best here, and I'm sharing what I know with you, because I think it's fun, and I enjoy doing that. And I think it's fun to see myself like grow while making this YouTube channel, because this is the first video in this form. So let me know what you think. And yes, I am sitting on the damn floor, by the way, but that's okay. I just think it's cool. So yeah, but basically, I think it boils down to three main things that you got to focus on if you want to make a shot look more interesting than it does already. And I want to explain those three things by showing you two different shots of the same thing. So there's a shot of me waking up with none of these steps applied, and then there's one of me doing the same thing with these steps applied, to just show you the difference that I personally get while using this type of workflow. And it's not for everyone. I'm not saying that everyone should do this at all. It's just what I found worked for me. And if you find something in here that works for you, that would be great. And that's kind of the purpose of this video. So the first thing that I did is changed up the lens to fit the type of shot that I want. Now, don't worry. You don't need to go out there and buy different lenses. That's just not necessary. I think the best option is to get a zoom lens, which is what I have. So this one goes from 28 millimeters to 70 millimeters, which is quite a large range. So you can get decently wide shots like this, and then you can get extremely up close and personal, which is just weird right now. So I just want to get that back. The first shot I just shot on standard 50 millimeter type lens, which looked all right, but for this particular shot, I think because it is so boring, it's nicer to get up close and see more detail. And that's, I think, the case for a lot of shots that are boring on paper, and in order to make them look more interesting on the screen, I think a good thing to try out is always to get closer with the lens, which is what I did here. So on the more interesting shot, I used a 70 millimeter. I zoomed this in up to 70 millimeters. But yeah, I used the 70, and on the left one, I used the 50. And I also took the aperture down to 2.8, so I completely opened it up, which basically gives you a lot more background separation, as you can see in this frame even. So yeah, I already thought that looked a little bit better. But then the second thing I did is I changed up the lighting a little bit. Now, you might have heard this like a billion times already. Everyone tells you that lighting is important, but it really is. And on the first shot, I just used my natural light from my window, which looked pretty good in my opinion. Like, still, natural light has a time and place, and for a lot of shots, it is honestly more than enough, and it looks great, like it really does. But there's only so much you can do with it. And especially when you're shooting at night and stuff like that, you'll have to use your own lights. But even in this case, you can add something to the scene by using your light, which is what I did. I used one of these. This is a Ulanzi light, and it's very, very handy. It comes in clutch because it's so small and it's magnetic, so I can literally stick it to this little metal thing I have over here. So you can stick it this way or this way or this way, and there's tons of effects on it. And you can change the color, so it's just really handy. I mean, this is cop car, you see, like, it's very handy basically. And that's what I used to fill out the shot with extra lighting. So I wanted to add a warmer tone to it because the window is quite a cold light. And for me personally, adding a warmer and a colder light in one scene or in one shot adds more depth and more contrast, which I like. I just think it looks pretty good, but I don't do it in every shot. But sometimes it does really look good. So just figure out the lighting a little bit. Try to adjust some things to make it just a little more perfect in your eyes. So yeah, I gotta add a little bit more smoke. That's also a little tip for you. add some atmosphere. As you can see, it's it's nice when it like spreads out more evenly because this shit is in the way. But adding a little bit of atmosphere, extra little pro tip for some shots like this, just my room is a little bit more dense, more atmospheric. So yeah, that's what that does. So the third thing that I changed from the first shot to the second one is I color graded it, and I shot it in a different, smoke is still here, and I shot it in a different picture profile. So basically I shot it in S-Log 3, but you can shoot it in S-Log 2 or just S-Log or in RAW. It depends on your camera and your brand. There's a lot of different ones, but you can definitely look up which specific one your camera has. Most Sony cameras have S-Log, if you're wondering. So yeah, but S-Log 3 is the one I use. And basically what this picture profile does is it creates a flatter image overall. So straight out of the camera, your image is gonna look like shit. It really is. So you might think, why would I do that? Well, it's just very nice because when you put it in the editor and you try to color grade it, you can do whatever you want with it. You can add the contrast yourself. You can add more LUTs to it. And if you don't shoot in a raw picture profile, like in just the standard ones, they already have a certain color grading applied to it straight out of the camera, which makes it harder to put another grade on top of that, if you know what I mean. So you don't have as much room to play as you do when you completely shoot it raw, which is usually what I do, but I wanted to show you the difference from the first to the second to show you what that really does. And I can also show you what raw looks like. I mean, this is S-Log 3 without color grading, and this is with color grading. So there's a difference for you. It's pretty huge, which is why I really like shooting in it, because that's how much I can do with this shot. I mean, I can make it look so much different if I apply different color grading, but that can honestly be a whole different video if you're interested. So I'll definitely put the link up over on top of the screen if you're watching this in the future, and I have already made that video. But yeah, I definitely want to make a video about that because it's a whole different thing, color grading. And it's really interesting, and it's a really important overlooked step for most people. And then a small little bonus outside of those 3 steps is that I use a mist filter, 1/4, which, if you have no idea what that means, just look at that highlight right there. See how it blooms out a little bit and it looks more filmic? That's what that filter does. So for example, with this slide as well, you can see there's a very heavy blooming around it, which is just a nice look in my opinion. If you don't like that, then that's fine. But without the filter, it would look very sharp and not as stylistic. It's more like a stylized look and a more filmic, softer look to your image. But yeah, if you're interested, I'm using the Nisi Mist 1/4 filter, but there's also the Black Pro Mist filters. Those are also really nice. I've used them in the past and I can recommend them as well. So yeah, that's pretty much what I wanted to talk about. I hope this video was helpful to you in any way, shape or form. I know that it probably wasn't, but it's my first time making a video in this format and I really like doing it. So if you liked it, let me know. I know there won't be many comments, but I just enjoy doing this and I want to do more of it. So yeah, let me know. See ya.